What's up, internet? Back with another video because Worlds just happened, and there's been some interesting announcements regarding Pokémon Champions. Mostly that VGC will be an official game, which isn't actually what we're going to talk about today. Because obviously we kind of assumed, or worked off of the assumption that that's going to be the case, Champions being the VGC game whenever it releases, but what I think is actually huge, and what I want to deep dive into today, for a bit at least, is right over there at the end of everything, in the fine print. Let's zoom in a little bit, because this is a free-to-start game, which is a Nintendo speak for free-to-play, with a starter bundle available, with optional in-game items for purchase, more details coming soon, but it's already enough to make me want to deep dive into it. So, why does this matter? Why do I think that that is honestly one of the most significant things that had to be part of Champions for it to really be this vision of a glorious VGC future as I imagined? Because there's a lot of things to say, but basically, the free-to-play model, I think, works quite well for those kinds of things. We saw the starter bundle, there will be purchases for it, because obviously even a free-to-play game needs to make money. But with the fact that they've basically confirmed that you can't directly purchase the VP, makes me think that they might just be part of the bundle alongside some other items depending on what they are actually going to sell. And with how they seem to be like the main focus of how to gain EVs, change moves and natures and all that stuff, I'm going into this with a lot of optimism. But ultimately, yes, let's get the bad out of the way. Free-to-play can be extremely predatory. I don't think I need to say it all that much, but the worst-case scenario would be loot boxes and premium currency bundles where they're designed so that you can never get quite the thing that you want, and will always have a little much, so that another small purchase will gain you more, which will always leave you a little more. It's bad, but with how the things are structured we've seen so far, with the fact that VP are not directly for purchase, I think the biggest issue is out of the way, since they've also shown, and that is very important, the home compatibility. Since it seems that they really want you to play the other games that come out, specifically with how they're showcasing Mega Evolutions for the rank battles, those coming to Legends CA. It seems like a big part of this is that it's going to be the hub for the classic style of battle, since you can also speculate that the future mainline Pokemon games won't have that if you look at ZA and stuff. But Champions being the hub for the classic way of battling, that will be the competitive thing going forward. Meaning that, okay, you have the Pokemon that you already caught, transfer from home to Champions, that you can have then permanently be there. So it's not like they can exactly sell you the Pokemon themselves. And if VP also aren't directly for purchase, it makes me want to think that there is going to be a more humane type of optimization. Because it seems like it's going to be mostly to get the Pokemon from other games. And in that case, it's also kind of hard to sell loot boxes, because what do you even randomize in there? Only thing up in there would be like items, which again would be kind of weird and also rather limited. Which leads me to the question of like, Casey, if you would say all of those things that you don't think are going to happen, what is the thing actually going to be? I think one interesting approach to it would be a battle pass, which contains so many factors to it that I actually want to save it for a separate video coming in the future soon. Trust me, there's enough to talk about that specifically. Which leaves the most interesting part, which is cosmetics, customization, optics. Because you can make outfits for trainers, maybe even the custom designs for Pokeballs a la Generation 4. Like, especially like the entries that you could do with the stickers. But the big thing is skins, clothes, drip, if you want to call it that. Which already has an interesting precedent in the form of Pokemon Unite, which again is a free-to-play Pokemon game on both mobile devices and the Switch consoles itself that is, well, free to play with skins, and people will eat that up. I'm gonna be honest with you, I haven't played Unite in a while. I still absolutely adore the Pirate Score Bunny line. Might try to put it into the thumbnail somewhere, I'll see about that later. But what it basically has shown is that people love making their Pokemon look prettier, better. If it was straight up clothing that you could have for customization type things, I genuinely think there would be like a subculture within the game that would mostly focus on putting the nicest outfits in. There is multiple gaming communities that I've already witnessed it in. Thanks, Monster Hunter and Dark Souls. But yeah, that is, for me, the best case scenario is if the monetization was entirely cosmetics in a free-to-play game like that, that would paint the best picture for the future, since hopefully Pokémon Champions will stay the competitive game going forward, even past like the current gen and the next one, where it will be the central hub, where it will be focused, where there can be more care put into it. Because outside of the fact that free-to-play is all that stuff, why am I talking about this? The main point being accessibility. I've mentioned it before, I think there is barriers to entry for everything. And the big barrier to entry for Pokemon, outside of knowing it exists, which is the thing I talked before, is the matter of money. If it's a free-to-play game that you can humanely play on a free-to-play model without having to invest money immediately into it, you get the biggest possible reach of people. And that is my main hope for Champions, that it becomes a huge banner to advertise VGC's very existence and how awesome this game can actually be. So if you use it as a vehicle to get as many people as possible into it, I think that's the best strategy going forward, since a larger player base also means a potentially bigger base of for monetization. And that is, I think, the crux of the point. Just let as many people play it as possible. It's already showing good signs with the capacity for crossplay, with the VP being earnable. Because it's not like it's 2006 anymore and you can just sell a battle-focused game like you do with Battle Revolution, which is the closest thing we have to it, which as of the time of the release of Champions will be about a 20-year-old game at this point. So there's that, especially as a mobile game, as a game that will be available on your phones. Being paywall behind any asking price will always detract more people than the earnings from that initial asking price would be worth. And people are curious about this. I had a friend of mine asking if I think that you could play Champions on a tablet, which, to be honest, I do not see a single reason why you wouldn't. People play Showdown on their tablets, and since it's already confirmed and made a point out of the crossplay, I'm honestly quite excited about that. So the big summary of all of this is that with what we've shown so far, I just want to go into the near future of VGC with an unprecedented level of optimism, at least for me, since so far they seem to do everything right. I was saying a slider a la Pokemon Showdown would be the best case scenario. We got it. I've been hoping for a free-to-play model. We got it, and now it's just about how they tackle the monetization itself. That will be the biggest point. So basically, if this game can reach the maximum amount of people with a good free-to-play model and being available on the most common devices, which are the smartphones at the end of the day, it makes me think that come 2026, VGC could explode to unprecedented levels of popularity. So yeah, that is basically the main thing I wanted to talk about today. If you have any thoughts of the free-to-play model or some kind of features or models that you want to see tackled by Champions in the future, type it in the comments. I'm always curious about discussion. And if you made it this far, thank you all very much for watching. I can't wait to put up more content about Champions in the near future, because I am super, super hopeful about things going forward. So thanks for watching, and see you all next time. Bye-bye!